Welcome to Play PS5, and today I want to talk about what TVs will match best with the upcoming PS5. So sometimes it makes sense to upgrade your setup if you're buying a new console. So if you're going to lunge for the PS5, that you got to think that's at least a $600 purchase by the time you buy the console, games, extra peripheries, all that stuff. And so if you're going to spend that much on a console, you might as well ensure that you have the optimum setup for it. So for example, PS5 can provide 4K gaming at 120 hertz refresh rate. But if your TV can only provide a 60 hertz refresh rate, then you aren't optimizing the PS5 and you're still going to have choppy video. The transitions aren't going to look as good. And then honestly, there's a lot of that processing power that you paid for in the PS5 that you can't reap the benefits of. So when looking at the PS5, there are two main things in terms of PS5 and TVs that I look at. I personally just updated my TV to prepare for the PS5. Granted, there are different levels and obviously different prices, so it's going to be personally dependent on your finances, what you feel comfortable doing. But the two things are as follows. First, you want HDMI 2.1 compatibility. So most PS4s, any other HDMI cables you're using are going to have 2.0 compatibility unless you're really tech savvy and you're up on the times. But you want something that uses the HDMI 2.1 because it provides a max bandwidth of 48 gigs per second, which is nearly 3 times that of what the HDMI 2.1 can output. Also, the 2.1 version allows you to do 8K at 50 or 60 frames per second and 4K at 100 or 120. Again, this is going to maximize what the PS5 can output and overall enhance your gaming experience. Two other things that kind of go along with this, but they need to be present on the TV again to maximize the whole experience. First, VRR, that is variable refresh rate. That takes the TV's display rate to that of the graphics processor to achieve a perfect image. If the two don't match, if the PS5 is 120 and the TV is 60, you may have some tearing of the images, or they're just going to be alignment issues or some type of defect within the TV and the images you're looking at. Next, you want ALLM. That's the acronym. It stands for Auto Low Latency Mode. That allows the PS5 to send a signal to the TV so that it is automatically optimized with low input lag. That is great for first-person shooters, racing games, or any game where there's a lot happening in a short amount of time. The second thing you want to look out for is a native refresh rate of 120 hertz. So you'll see that some TVs say effective refresh rate, but that is different. For example, an effective refresh rate, you may actually have a native refresh rate of 80. But then to make up that additional 40 hertz refresh rate that's missing, they have some algorithm that interpolates data. Now, is there a big difference between a native refresh rate of 120 and a native or an effective? I'm not sure. But I know if I'm going to upgrade my TV and I'm going to get a PS5, you might as well get the native because you know that is definitely going to be able to provide you with the refresh rate that you want. Again, refresh rates are important. They're fantastic for gaming because it limits lag, it gives you the best picture, and overall will provide the best gaming experience. And another thing to consider too is that you're not using this TV more likely only for gaming. You're going to be watching football, you're going to have movie nights, you're going to bring people over and watch some Netflix. So that native refresh rate is going to improve all of those things. It's probably worth paying the little extra money to go ahead and get the native and not get an effective refresh rate. So now that we know what we're looking for in a TV, I want to quickly give you some options to consider and then let you make the best choice based on your budget, your personal preferences, and your histories with TV. So let's jump into our first option, which is the Sony X900H. It is a 4K TV. It comes in a 65-inch, a 55-inch, and then obviously larger sizes. The 65-inch is $1,200. 55-inch is $1,000. that will support HDMI 2.1 in the near future with a firmware update. So right now, it doesn't have that capability, but this is a TV that Sony said this is built for the PS5. And obviously, as an electronic company, Sony needs this to support HDMI 2.1. From what I can tell, it is 100% coming. We just don't exactly know the dates yet. And it is going to be compatible with the PS5. It has a variable refresh rate, it has the auto low latency, and again, it's using HDMI 2.0 right now, but when it does upgrade, it's a simple software upgrade. You don't need anything else in order to make it work. The next TV is a LG NanoCell 85. Now this one is HDMI 2.1 ready. The 55-inch is $949 and the 65-inch is $1,200. It has 120 native hertz refresh rate. It's got plenty of other smart TV features, and it pretty much meets everything that you would want when you consider the PS5. There's also nano cells. There's above 85 as well. It's 85 or above and you're set. If you start looking at the nano cells 65 or 70s, those I don't believe have what we need to optimize the PS5. So remember that as well. The final TV that I straight up recommend is the Samsung Q70 or higher. So again, they have Q60, Q70, Q80, Q90. So Q70 is a cutoff. You need a Q70 or higher. The 65-inch is $1,200. It has a locked refresh rate at 120 hertz. That is something the other two TVs don't have. Now, I will admit though, this, to my knowledge, from my research and from asking people at like Best Buy and other stores, it does not have HDMI 2.1. So that certainly could be an issue, but again, I feel like that is definitely an option for the PS5, and you gotta weigh the pros and cons. I've never personally had a Samsung TV, but people said they're absolutely fantastic, and if you feel better with a Samsung brand other than the Sony or LG, it may be a trade-off. All of this stuff is some sort of trade-off. So those are the three TVs I definitely recommend. Other options are LG OLED TVs. They certainly have the refresh rate that you need, and they all contain HDMI 2.1, but they are a lot more expensive. You're spending over $2,000. Fantastic TVs, I'm sure, but that's really high, more than my budget. The Samsung Q90 QLED, again, very good. It's up there in the 2000s as well, so you're spending more. There's also the Sony X850G, but it has that refresh rate, but it doesn't have quite as good a specs, and I'm not 100% certain if it's going to have the HDMI 2.1 support. So as I mentioned, I did upgrade my TV preparing for the PS5, and I did hours of research. I've contacted a lot of the professionals at appliance stores and people at Best Buy, things of that nature. And after doing that, I found out that for me personally, the best situation was to purchase the Sony TV. So I bought the X900H. I've been using it about 2 weeks now, and I love it. Granted, I can't play it on the PS5, so I don't know graphically what it looks like, but from watching like nature documentaries, Netflix, watching football, and using it to the best of my ability to what I have now, it is fantastic. The picture is clear. It essentially works as what you would expect a $1,500 TV to work like. So I've had no disappointments there, and so the good thing is the three options I gave you, I think, are going to optimize the PS5 to the best of its capability, and I think you're going to be happy with them. At that point, it's a slight difference in price, and really, which one do you feel most comfortable with? I hadn't owned any three of those brands, so I was open. I was like, I have a Sony PlayStation, so why not just go full Sony? And that's why I did. But if you have recommendations for other TVs that maybe I've missed, or other specs that you would recommend, please put them in the comments below so the other watchers can see, and so I can maybe learn something as well. And go out there, look at TVs, shop around, maybe wait for Black Friday. We don't know when the PS5's coming out quite yet, but definitely upgrade if you have the capability to, and let's hope the PS5 comes real quick. Happy shopping, folks.